Hey everyone, my name is Mariana, and I am the host of the Commitment to Growth podcast, as well as the founder of the resilience life coaching platform Commitment to Growth. This is a personal growth oriented space dedicated to helping ambitious young adults who want to develop long lasting resilience in their personal, professional, and social lives. I coach on all things mindset development, reframing limiting thought patterns, habit building, vulnerability, and emotional freedom techniques, and more, all through evidence based practice and lots of raw and honest conversation. Thank you so much for being here, and let's dive right in. Happy 2024, everyone. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new, welcome either way to the Commitment to Growth podcast. This is your host, Mariana, speaking. And what a joy it is to join you for not only the first episode of 2024, but also the 50th episode of the podcast. We are halfway to 100, which is just so crazy to say. March of this year will be 3 years in the making of this show, and what a roller coaster and what a wonderful ride it's been. So if you are one of the people that has joined us since the beginning, thank you for choosing to continue to tune in. It is lovely to be here with you. And if you're joining us today for the first time or of your first few times, thank you for continuing the journey with myself and with us. I am here to continue committing to growth with you, and it is such a joy to be a facilitator of your personal growth moving forward and for years to come. So I hope you're feeling good today. I am recording this on the first Sunday of 2024, and I'm a little sick, and that's never fun, but the sickness is nothing in comparison to some of the things that are coming my way personally this year already. So big life update is that I am actually leaving Vancouver, Canada, where I am currently situated at the end of this month. And on February 1st, I am flying down to South America to be in Chile and Argentina with my very best friend, Amy Smith, who has been on the podcast previously. If you listen to her episode with our other wonderful friend, Emma Skog, you should totally go give that a listen. But we are both heading down there for a couple of weeks to explore those two countries and just be in a different culture and just get away. And following that, I am headed to Mexico City to visit my family. And the crazy thing, folks, is that I don't have yet a return ticket. I am kind of leaving for an unprecedented amount of time, and wow. It's so crazy to say out loud. I get so excited thinking about it because I just feel like it is the spontaneity and the uncertainty, as odd as that might sound, that I think I've been craving for some time. But also, this trip is meant to inaugurate me finally stepping into commitment to growth full time as my business, as my platform, as my resilience coaching platform for women. And it felt like the time was right. And of course, it isn't really ever about the time being right, but you telling yourself that you have what it takes to step into that and to be ready and to receive it. Because I think in many ways, in many aspects of our life, and when it comes to running our own business, for example, this is one of them, you have to make the decision that it's your goal or nothing. And maybe that sounds a little bit extreme, but I think that for the things that we know are rooted in our purpose and that are so uniquely and closely ours, like this platform and this purpose feels like to me, it felt like it was time to stop making excuses for why I wasn't going all in and why I was holding back and wasn't pouring my heart into it and my effort into it as I could. And so I took the leap. I handed in my letter of resignation at my previous healthcare job, and today is January 7th. I'm recording this, so in less than 24 days from now, I will be heading on a plane to head south the equator, and I am ecstatic, let me tell you. So I am just over the moon, and I can't wait to take you with me, because I will absolutely be taking my microphone to get to record some episodes down there for you, tell you how things are going. And of course, that time is also for me to to grow within myself and to bring back what I learn for you and for this platform and to continue serving you better. So that's what's coming. And I cannot wait to give you all the updates on that. And with that, with this new era of boundless creativity and no more excuses and stepping into authenticity and courage and faith, I was out on a sickly walk this morning to get some fresh air and just get the blood pumping and get myself feeling a little bit better. And I thought about this episode that I'm recording for you today. It's nice and raw and not unrehearsed, and just sitting down with a cup of tea right next to me. And I was thinking about creativity and what that means. And I hear from so many of you who tune into my content and look at my stuff. And particularly recently, and I'll be talking about this in the episode, I've been sharing more of my writing on the platform and just getting a lot more vulnerable. And so many of you have told me that it resonates with you, and the people that have started following me on my social media are people who resonate way more closely to myself and my vision and my mission. And it's been an interesting shift to notice, because I feel like I'm approaching you and this purpose with such a different intention and with such a different approach and with such a different outlook on what it truly means to show up and be a leader, and what it truly means to show up in authenticity. And I wanted to talk to you about that today, because it's a question that I get asked a lot. Like, what is your creative process like? How do you share so much of your vulnerable side on social media? And while it's a muscle that I'm training every single day, I wanted to tell you what my process has been like. So that is what we will be chatting about today. In other news, before we get into the content of today's episode, a reminder that if you are looking on guidance and support on the limiting beliefs that are holding you back from the goals that you've set for your new year, 2024 is programmed to be a super, super, super abundant and successful year. But in order to reap those benefits and those rewards that are in the cards for us, we got to unlock them. And unlocking them starts with unlocking the barriers that we've set within ourselves. And I've got still enrollment for my one-on-one evolution program. This is a 6-week guided coaching experience where we go super, super deep into really big and important shadow work. So everything around your inner child wounds, the beliefs that you've built within yourself that are currently stopping you and may not even know they're stopping you from achieving the goals, the relationships, the milestones that you want for yourself. And so this is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity if being confident and stepping into abundance and finally letting go of the barriers that have stopped you before get out of your way once and for all. So I always do free discovery calls before that. So if you head to the link in the description of this episode or the link in my bio on Instagram, you can book your first free discovery call, check out the program webpage and find all the information you need there. There is also a very exclusive discount available until January 31st. It's about 35% off its usual price. So you definitely don't want to miss that. There are also payment installments available if that is a barrier that you need some assistance with. So head over to that link, and I would love, love, love to speak with you about how this program might be a perfect fit for you and what you're looking for. And my second and final announcement is that if you are a woman 18 or over living in the Vancouver Tri-Cities area in British Columbia, Canada, I am hosting a inner child healing and self-love transformation workshop right in Coquitlam on January 20th. That is a Saturday from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. This is an experience probably very unlike any coaching or self-development workshop that you've been to before. And I won't give too much away, but as much as we will be doing discussions and some education around inner child wounds and what they are and how they show up in our relationships with ourselves and others, I'm going to be bringing a mason jar with some surprise prompts that we'll be working with throughout the discussion. So very unique, very fun. It is very much a individual guided experience because you pull some prompts, we answer them, we talk about them. It's really, really fun and enjoyable, and it's very much centered around collective healing. And you get to meet some women with wonderful, wonderful things to say and resonating life experiences. So I want to make sure that you get in on that and reap the rewards and the beauty of that. So again, head to the show note description of this episode, grab your ticket. There is early bird pricing until January 15th. So you want to make sure you get in on that to get a discount. And I hope to see you there on January 20th. So, in line with artistic expression and expressing from an authentic place and stepping into that creative power that is within all of us, because yes, all of us are capable of creativity. It's just about defining what creativity means to us. And I'll be speaking about that in a few moments here. Let's talk about why it's important to step into that power and how to do it and how to start living from that place regularly. I think that to start, we don't give ourselves enough credit for the propensity for art that all of us innately have. For most of us, we might have gone to school or preschool or at home. Our parents or our caretakers would have made us color within the lines and practice our grammar and paint and make some pottery. Maybe a lot of us played with clay or slime or whatever was the hot take when you were in your youth. And over time we start kind of tuning out that muscle and that calling to create, because we tell ourselves that it's more important to be analytical or logical or organized. But think about how many things that we see as like analytical or strictly for the purpose of business or work or school require creativity. Problem solving requires a degree of creativity and critical thinking, right? It would be so much easier to go with how everybody else is going, use the exact same formula to solve the math equation or the problem. But how many of us really like think outside the box and create solutions? If you're in business, that is business at its core, right? It's you have a solution to a problem that many people have and therefore would like to invest in you because you can help them solve that problem. Life coaching is a beautiful example of this, right? All of us coaches have different approaches to dismantling limiting beliefs and healing our inner child and helping you step into confidence, because how we have experienced that aspect of adversity and stepping into confidence ourselves or going through traumatic experiences that made us do the inner work required some level of innovation on our behalf to find a way out, to heal and to grow. Know that you have creativity within you, but how it is expressed is how it's unique to you. Why it's an important skill, and more than skill, I want to lead away from calling it a skill, because though it is a skill to be able to step into creativity without being worried about what people are thinking or what it's going to look like or sound like or read like, whatever your vector of creativity happens to be. While it is a skill to step into it, it is something that all of us have, and therefore the muscle that we have to train is stepping into the feeling that then enables us to be creative and to create from a place of authentic expression. On my sickly walk that I mentioned earlier today, I was listening to a podcast interview between Lewis Howes, the host of School of Greatness. My gosh, I almost forgot. And Rick Rubin, who, for many of you that don't know, is a multiple-time Grammy winner for producing some of like the most incredible music hits and albums of some of the biggest names in history. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Kanye West, Kesha, like so many people. And he wrote a book that is on the #1 New York Times bestseller list. I think it's #1 right now still, actually, if I recall correctly. But he is best known for having such intelligence and wisdom around the creative process, and attributes his ability to immerse himself in creativity and be patient within creativity, he recognizes that as like the number one skill that has gotten him to where he is, and how he has gotten artists to where they are now under his guidance and his help. And something he mentioned in the podcast interview, when Lewis asked him, what do you think is like the number one thing that people need to think or feel when making creative work, Rick Rubin said, it is way less about thinking and far more about feeling. And that is creativity at its core, right? It's being able to be in our purest human form, in the one which enables us to show up as ourselves, irrespective of the opinions of other people. Because when we show up as authentically ourselves, we are showing up in the light of the things that make us the happiest, of the things that light up our soul. And if you don't know what those things are for you, I want you to take a moment to reflect, and even pause the episode after I ask you this question, to really sit and think about, what are the things that you are drawn to doing in your spare time? Or what are the things that you see other people in your life or online doing that really spark a curiosity? You're like, I would really like to try that, right? Is it writing? Is it dancing? Is it podcasting? Is it painting? Is it singing? Is it creating with pottery or Lego even? Is it life coaching? Is it a particular business idea? Think about the things that like spark your curiosity and pull you towards them because you have an innate wonder and awe about them. Your heart and your way of expressing your creativity is hidden within those things, because when you innately feel awe about something, there's a part of you that resonates with it and makes you feel expansive, and that expansion is what helps you step into that authentic vector of expression. And once you can kind of toy around with what those things are, because there can be multiple, right? I resonate a lot with writing articles, and poetry is a huge one for me as well. I love, love, love poetry. And also music is a huge aspect of my creativity that I have recently kind of taken up more, as you may have heard me mention in past podcast episodes, or you might have seen that funny video on my Instagram from a couple months ago that I started playing guitar and trying to teach myself how to sing. I don't quite know how that's going. I can't say that I can be my own judge of that. But again, it's never about the how, but the why, right? And another thing that Rick said in this episode that truly, truly like made me stop dead in my tracks, and I was like, wow, this is such an important reminder. Write this down. Come back to this, like scroll the audio back on this podcast episode, because you need to have this in mind. He said that the moment that you create to appease or impress somebody else, the work is already not great, or it will never turn out as great as you doing or creating something for yourself. Think about the magnitude of that, because we live in a world where we are so often pushed to create for, more visibility on social media and to increase our businesses and to gain more clients and such. But it is so easy to lose yourself in that mindset and in that hustle that we forget to share our work and our expression with people, simply because it brings us joy and makes us feel like we are contributing to the world from a place of authenticity. And I think that is truly at the core of where absolute fulfillment comes from, is when you can take your work and take the pieces of your soul that you have made into art and share them with people simply because it's yours and it makes you happy. I think we forget so often that there's 7, 8 billion or more of us on the planet now, and we don't share our work or our opinions or our thoughts that we've put down on paper because we're like, nobody could ever resonate with this. Like nobody could understand, nobody could feel this way. While I want you to remember that for so many of us, how we process and make sense of the things that happened to us and for us are unique, think about how many aspects of the human experience unite us. All of us feel heartbreak. All of us feel the pain of loss. All of us feel the pain of disappointment and rejection. For you to take something that you've created to make it a vehicle for how loss felt for you, for how heartbreak felt for you, for how pain felt for you, is a gift to somebody else who can't quite express what that experience is like for them. There are so many people walking around who do not know how to express themselves or how to tap into their emotions because they were never given the capacity or the place or the safe space to do so. When you create art that is for you and for your emotions, when you put that out into the world, what you receive back is the gratification of somebody resonating with that. And what a gift that is, even if you don't ever meet the person or you don't even get a comment or nobody writes you an email to tell you that, wow, like this impacted me so much. There's no way that no one in the world is not going to see your work. And what a beautiful thing that we all get to contribute to our collective healing through sharing those parts of ourselves, right? How to do so without worrying too much about the outcome, how to do so without being too focused on what people are going to think. Well, you have to ask yourself, think about the things and the pieces of work that you have come across in your life that you can look back on and say, wow, I am so glad that I saw that video on TikTok or read that article on the newspaper or on the news or on Medium. And thank gosh I saw it because it changed the trajectory of my life. It changed how I viewed healing. It changed how I felt that day. You never, ever, ever know if the person that put out that piece of content felt 100% secure about it, and yet you picked it up and it did something to you and for you. Think about the impact that you choosing to do the same thing could have on somebody else who happens to come across it, right? There are so many of us here that we are bound to resonate with at least the experience of one person, right? And how beautiful to know that we are giving back to each other, even when we don't know who's receiving it. There's something so beautifully gratifying and fulfilling about that. And to do so from a place of fully immersing yourself in the experience, I think really comes from learning to lean into your creativity when you're feeling it. This is something that I have been making such an intention to do this year, and really it's as a 2024 goal as a whole, but something that in the last probably 2 or 3 months I've really been doing with my days is like whenever I get a little hunch to write up an Instagram post or to create a video or to write a piece of poetry, unless I'm doing something that is so important that can't be left for a couple moments, I will drop what I'm doing to lean into those hunches. And in those hunches, I have created some of the pieces of writing and poetry that I am the most proud of. Because when you get inspiration for something, you kind of feel like this whole body opening. Am I right? Or maybe some of you feel it like an expansion in your chest, or you get really excited. In those moments is when you are in alignment with the energy of creation. And when you can fully immerse yourself into that space, into that energy, into that light and that flavor that the universe is calling you to kind of to take in for a moment, is when you find the parts of yourself that are hidden in the things that you may not even know that you had a passion for. Learn to lean into that energy and to stay in that energy. Carry that energy into your day. Carry that energy into your work. It is that energy that will help you solve problems differently, approach your romantic partnerships, your friendships differently. It's that energy that will make your walks to work, to transit, to school much more enjoyable, because when you can step into that mindset of art, because really art is all around us, right? Art is subjective and art is a mindset. Like, I remember I was on my walk today and I was walking around this lake near my house, and there was this tree that was standing upright, and above me on the path was a tree that had completely like tipped sideways and was resting on the tree that was upright, and it was totally solid. And I was like, that image is so easily, you can so easily extrapolate that to so many situations in life. That tree laying on that tree is what is like a friend to a friend. It's a lover to a lover. It's what we're all here to do for each other as the human species, right? Is be the tree that catches you when your roots are ripped out of the ground. That is art. That is creativity. It is being able to look at the things around you and make art out of them. Because when you feel that creative inkling to go write a journal entry, or to text somebody a creative thought that you had, or you have a date idea for you and your spouse or your partner, that is the universe asking to be made into art. I fully believe that, whether you call it, again, God or the universe or whatever higher power you believe in, the most authentic expression of that energy, and ours as well, because we are an extension of that, of course, is art and fun and awe. And so whenever we let ourselves be immersed in that energy and that fervor for creation, we are the most in tune with the power that's around us. And therefore that is our most authentic expression, because when we are in full alignment with that energy, we are manifesting ourselves on paper, on canvas, in pottery, in music, etc., etc. Know that it is a muscle. Know that it is a frame of mind that takes time to step into, because it doesn't feel natural, right? It's a level of presence that I don't think that a lot of us are used to, because we're in a world nowadays that is so plugged in, and we're so used to kind of switching from one task to another. Know that it's going to feel uncomfortable at first, but the more that you can force yourself to be present in that energy for 5, then 10, then 15, 20, 30, 60, 120 minutes, over time, it'll become a mindset with which you approach life. It'll become an enthusiasm and an energy that is always, always, always accessible to you. And also why it's so important is, think about how much so many of us rely on creation and art to heal, right? Like, let's be honest, how many of us can say that we've spent hours and hours writing letters or journal entries to or about the person that broke our heart at one point, right? Or the person that we lost through death, or when we were rejected from a job interview, or when we went to ask out somebody that we liked and got rejected by them as well. How many of us can say that we turned to books or music to help create a vehicle for the feelings that we didn't want to hold within ourselves. When you get better and better at just tapping into that energy when you feel like you want to tap into it and you feel like you need it, your healing is now in your hands, because now you can surrender the not so pleasant feelings that you're experiencing to art and to making something from them and out of them. And whether or not you choose to share what you create, you know that you're healing the collective, because when you choose to not hold those feelings inside, odds are they're not going to result in you lashing out at somebody or doing something that you would regret, because now they're out of you and you've probably processed them better than you would having not done anything with them at all. But also, if you do choose to share it, how beautiful is it that somebody could see something like that and say, my gosh, I feel so seen in a world where people are so lonely nowadays. The thought that somebody could see a piece of your soul and say, wow, like I resonate with that. I see myself in that. I can't believe I'm not the only one that feels this way. What a gift you've just given to somebody else. Lean into those callings to create. Lean into those nudges to discover new things, and to lean into the things that you feel curious about. When you see somebody doing something that sparks your interest, ask them about it, why they're doing it, how they got into it, how it sustains them, how it helps them be better functioning human beings. Your expression is hidden within the things that inexplicably light up your soul and your heart and put you in an energy of wanting to create and sample and stay in awe. And remember, creativity is a birthright, and you were placed here to learn how to express yourself in the most authentic way possible. And the more you train this muscle, the more you are fulfilling part of your purpose. So that's on today's episode. And thank you so much for joining me today, everybody. I hope that this is an energy that you are able to take with you into the rest of 2024. If you have questions or you want to hear more about the creative process and how you can better embody it in your day-to-day, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Always happy to answer questions on there. Shoot me an email. It should be in the show note description of this episode, because again, it's a vector for feeling. It is a way of life at that, and you deserve to feel the expansion that comes with being in that state. So take it, go create, go get inspired, bring a friend or a loved one with you to do so, and dive deep into the human experience, because really that is what it's about. Thank you again for tuning in this week, and I will see you next time.